Let's see. Okay, this is YouTube. Okay, and let me get this red one. Okay, so before we begin, I just want to let everyone know that this meeting is going to be recorded, and if anything put in the chat or is said can be followed at a later date. All yours, Jeff.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thanking the Economic Development Committee members and the Environmental and Sanitation members who came to this meeting. This meeting is a discussion on the Sanitation Department proposed garbage collection for small businesses. Yelena Machman will be giving a presentation on this here. Take it away, Yelena.
Good evening, everybody. First and foremost, I appreciate Community Board because I sent information and asked for a meeting. So I appreciate for having this meeting. And I believe I saw Troy from Vernikov office and Coney Island Alliance. And I believe it's important to discuss. And we have some business owners, I believe, and Mike Russa can second, and I'm not lying. For years, we had a rule that businesses should put their garbage for collection not earlier than 1 hour before closing. Unfortunately, for the last 7 or 8 years, it was never enforced. That's why we see tons of garbage 4 o'clock p.m. instead of 7, 8. I would even understand if it's going on at night, but I mean, during the winter time, but during the summer, it not only attracts rats, but it smells and on and on and on and on. So city decided to deal with it. And from April 4th, they came with new rules that everybody, you can see it now, all commercial establishments can place their waste and recyclable material within 1 hour of closing, provided that scheduled collection occurs before the establishment's next reopens for business, and only if such material are placed for collection in receptacles with tight fitting lid. Establishments that place material for collection in bags, regardless of the time they close, may place such material at the curb no earlier than 8 p.m. Placing garbage outside 1 hour before, okay. It's not, as I said, it's not a new rule. It's in place for years. I don't know about other areas. Maybe it's being enforced in Manhattan because new rule came up from April 1st, but they gave 1 month's warning period. And from May 1st, they were supposed to issue tickets. But when I walk around Brighton, Sheepshead Bay, some places in Coney Island, I still see bags placed way before 8 o'clock. So, I mean, these those receptacles, it's a different story. We have few stores in Brighton, they bought receptacles. It's a gift shops, and they don't have any kind of perishable material. So they bought those receptacles with the lids in order not to wait until 8 o'clock. So one receptacle is gone, one receptacle was damaged over the night. So it was not enough, 8 o'clock p.m. So Department of Sanitation came with new rules which will apply as of now for food-related businesses, catering establishments, food manufacturers, food service establishments, food wholesalers, and retail food stores must set out any perishable solid waste, including refuse and organic waste, at the curb for private carter collection in rigid receptacles with tight lifting lid. This does not apply to recyclable material other than organic waste. Also, this requirement do not apply to establishments that receive off-street collection, including collection from inside the loading dock, meaning that big supermarkets are not going to be affected. Who's going to be affected? Small business. Also, the new law says any receptacles used for the set out of waste must be kept clean and in a good repair. If other storage areas on the premises are not available, receptacles may be stored in the area within 3 feet of the building line on the sidewalk, provided that such receptacles are maintained in an orderly manner and do not impede or obstruct pedestrian flow on the site. Taking into consideration that majority of businesses we have within community 13 boundaries are small businesses, I really doubted that they have enough space inside to store receptacles, meaning most of the stores are going to keep those receptacles outside. Why it's disturbing to me and why I ask community board to schedule a meeting and talk about it. According to 2 private carters I spoke to, price will go for collection will go up between 20 and 30%. Again, Michael Russo can second me if he wants. It's expensive enough. Am I right, Michael? I don't see Michael.
It's too expensive.
Okay.
It's too
So,
expensive.
in order to service receptacles instead of picking up back, and if we are talking about food establishments, especially food stores and restaurants, they have everyday pickup. It's not like gift shop or some clothing store. They have one civic pickup for trash and one for recycling. They have everyday pickup. So price will go up between 20 and 30%. Receptacles, again, private carters are serving areas mostly during the night, meaning those dirty receptacles will be left on the sidewalk without washing overnight. Receptacles kept on sidewalk, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, because we know how piles of garbage, even one bag on garbage in the middle of the street or in the corner attracts more garbage. I do not expect any store to have enough personnel to put somebody outside to watch those receptacles if they are being kept on the sidewalk. It will obstruct pedestrian flow because not every sidewalk is 10 feet wide. Also, it might be stolen or damaged and they have to buy a new one, which is extra expensive. But again, it will attract more improper disposal and dumping in the area. So many people are not, especially small stores, even though they have a sticker on their window, they are not using private carters. Again, it's not being enforced, okay? Only sanitation comes to check, it's a sticker on your window, and sometimes they ask for a bill, but not pretty often. The amount of garbage dumped by businesses, because you can see it from addresses on boxes and on, even outside of the area, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger every day. I keep sending my pictures to community boards on a regular basis. So I thought that since public hearing for this proposal will take place in June 22nd, I thought that community board should have a voice because I'm sending a letter on behalf of Business Improvement District, Brighton Beach Bed, because to me and to my board members, it was discussed recently, we don't see it to be a tool to deal with garbage and rats. It might attract more rats. Can you imagine those dirty receptacles? I don't know about other areas, but on Brighton Beach, we have 2-3 food stores per block. In Coney Island, we have enough small eateries and food stores as well. So it's gonna be, I don't know, dozens or even half a dozen receptacles on the sidewalk. So this is what I wanted to present. I want everybody's opinion, and I still believe it's not helping environment, it's not helping businesses, it's not helping residents, because they have to walk through those receptacles. And believe me, one more point, those receptacles should be washed, okay, after garbage is being picked up. Question: if business does not have a space inside to keep those receptacles, where are they going to wash them? On the street. They're going to be washing these receptacles on the street. So that's how I see it. Thank you for listening.
Okay, very, very good, Elena, for this discussion. Before anybody asks questions, I would like to limit the questioning so everybody has a chance to 1 or 2 questions. And if we have a second round of questions, then they can be asked. I just wanted to say at the beginning that if this goes through and the businesses are increased with their garbage facilities the garbage being taken away by the contractors, everybody will be paying, the businesses and the consumers, because they have to pass down those costs to the consumer. And with the way inflation is and things that are costing now, it's getting out of hand. So let's open up the questioning.
Jeff, I'm really sorry. I'm going to add something if you don't mind. We all know that I expected it to start to begin before, but most probably next year we're going to have those waste commercial zones, meaning it would be 1 carter or 2 carters servicing entire area. Okay, I did not see the map yet. Meaning there is no competition. Business would have no choice. Or they have to pay whatever they are told to pay, or they have to dump their garbage somewhere else, or they have to pay fine.
No, so what you're saying is they're going to have a monopoly once the maps are drawn. Okay. Anybody else with any questions, comments?
Yeah, the city's the biggest gangster in the world.
You didn't come in, Michael.
I said the city's the biggest gangster in the world.
Okay,
Hey, Jeff, it's Alan, Alan Newman.
go ahead, Alan.
Good evening, everyone. So, Elena,
Yes.
hi, how are you? So,
Hi.
Hi. So the purpose of this proposal is to keep the streets cleaner and try to mitigate rats. Is that correct?
That's what sanitation says. But as I said, let's say we have bags placed by 8:00 p.m. So bags are gone. Am I a fan of those bags? No. But bags are gone by midnight or 1:00 in the morning. Nothing left, unless bag is, damaged. But I did not see it. So with those receptacles, those dirty receptacles going to be left until next day. So I do not see, I do not see benefits for the city.
So it sounds like your objection is to the costs involved for the business in order to implement these changes. Am I reading that correctly?
Yes, but not only that. My objection is that leaving those receptacles outside for entire day, that's what's gonna happen. Because it says, if businesses do not have space outside to store those receptacles, they can keep them. They might be stored in the area within 3 feet of the building line on the sidewalk. Can you imagine walking on the street with all of those receptacles?
Okay, I understand your point better. Thank you.
Okay, next we have is Mark.
Yeah, I still think, I would think that the receptacles are better than the plastic bags. Because right now there's a new supermarket going up on my block, and they just put out, starting when the workers come at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it just piles and piles and piles and piles. And you can see the food as the animals go after it, you can see the food coming out of it, etc. At least in a closed container, it would be better, in my opinion. I don't know that it'll be any less room than what they're taking up now, because you can barely walk past where it is in this case. We have to see when that supermarket finally opens, how bad it gets in operation, but right now it's just ridiculous. And that's my opinion.
They just opened today, and I told you before we started discussion, that was some issues between the two different accounts. But when you walk on Brighton Beach Avenue or any other avenue, you won't see any garbage placed on curb cut, regardless in receptacles or not, before, let's say, give or take 6 p.m. If you have those receptacles, what they're gonna do, they're gonna bring garbage outside entire day. That's what I'm trying to say. So if you have issues with the supermarket, I know for sure they know rules. They will explain whatever. And today it was grand opening at 12 o'clock at noon. And I believe I saw myself, I was in Brighton, this part of Brighton this morning, today. I saw a lot of boxes. They were trying to pack and unpack. We see the next day. So I spoke to businesses. They do not have, yes, it's a big supermarket. They might have space, but regular store, 20 feet, the storefront with very small basement, and sometimes basement cannot be used. I'm talking about Brighton because it's flooded all the time because of great system we have, okay? So where are they going to store this garbage?
Okay, all right, the next we have Zanera.
Yes. I think I recently saw that the city is implementing like mandatory composting. Is this in any way a part of this proposal or going to be affecting this?
No, that's for residents.
Oh, okay.
So far it's for residents. But again, you're absolutely right. And thank you very much for saying that. I do believe it's going to come to businesses as well. So we're going to have triple number of receptacles outside on the sidewalk.
Okay. Thank you.
As I said in the beginning, it's not going to affect big supermarkets. It's going to affect small moms and pops. It's not going to affect big supermarket and maybe very big catering halls if they have loading dock and they, store their garbage inside and carter comes not inside the building, but whatever, some alleyway or whatever. It's going to affect moms and pops.
Okay, we have Jeff and then Lolita.
Let Lolita speak first.
Okay, Lolita first.
Hello all. I understand the premise on which Yelena spoke, and I understand the difficulty with that. What I'm trying to say here or ask, what are we what part of the new proposal are we objecting here? The receptacle part, or is there any other part that Yelena has in mind? Just I would like to know what exactly is the solution to that she offers.
Okay, there is no other part, okay? The only changes, because even though the new rule for 8 o'clock and 1 hour in receptacles, this new rule is in place without any kind of real public hearing, okay? Now they want to add receptacles for all food establishments. In the beginning, it was only about restaurants. And I was told that they sent survey to all restaurants. I did not hear about survey sent to businesses. But according to what I read, according to what I received, now it applies to each and every food-related business, even a food store. So only new in this proposal, it's receptacles. And I would not say receptacles are bad unless they would provide some different guidance, some storage, whatever. But just picturing having those receptacles outside, and we will have them outside, makes me, and washing those receptacles outside makes me really sad. That's what I'm opposing, the whole receptacle part. That's the only they propose.
But the alternative will be keep it in and back, correct?
Keep it in the way it is and enforce. Because if you put in a law that you cannot put garbage outside in bags before 8 o'clock p.m., and people still put garbage outside in bags during the summer at 4 p.m. or at 5 p.m., how it's going to help? So if you come up with the rule, enforce.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lolita. I just want to say from an environmental point of view that if the receptacles have to be washed, or if they're not properly dumped into the garbage trucks, they will be on the street, and these will increase more garbage going into the strain dorms and creating more problems. Okay, and this will increase more problems for the MS4 program that we have, and it just doesn't seem to be logical as far as cleaning the part, because it's not going to work out too good.
Mike.
Any other questions?
Mike Silverman.
Yeah, I have just a question for clarification purposes. Yelena, the law is 3 feet from the building line, correct?
Correct. It's
That's
not a law yet what they're proposing. Okay.
Right, okay. Their proposal. 3 feet from the building line virtually puts them where you and I would walk down Brighton Beach Avenue, for example, as opposed to being by the curb. So it's actually, it could be very close to the middle of the sidewalk, isn't that right? 3 feet?
Absolutely, Michael. Thank you.
So it's going to be like a
Also-
minefield walking down any avenue, whether it be Mermaid Avenue or Brighton Beach Avenue, walking in and around all these receptacles.
Absolutely. Also, let's not forget about something else. For example, Brighton Beach, it's restricted area, meaning that each and every food store, fruit store selling anything outside, they apply for a stop license, which takes the same 4 feet from building line or jumbo 5 feet from building line. There are many other areas that are not restricted. So according to Department of Sanitation rules, people can display merchandise 3 feet from building line without any kind of permits. So let's say you have a store and they have, let's say in Brighton, they have a stoop license and they occupy 3 or 4 feet from building line selling food. Where are they going to put receptacles? Next to it? In the middle of it? So that's my main concern. Yes, I did mention cost, which I'm really concerned about. I did mention monopoly that's gonna be, you know, since starting probably next year or end of this year. But in the same time, I'm talking about not only businesses, I'm talking about residents and pedestrians. So how can you, I cannot picture it, somebody in a wheelchair trying to avoid those receptacles, you know. It's like, it's gonna be like wheelchair freestyle.
I mean, I agree with Michael and Yelena. Walking down Brighton Beach Avenue is like walking through a gauntlet now with all the legal vendors that are there on the sidewalks and everything. And it's not only wheelchairs, it's people who have canes and other paraphernalia that have to transverse the streets. Okay, and let's move on now to Mark, and then after Mark, Zanera.
Hi. I realize the problems, but I think we have to do something. The amount of garbage and the hours that stores are putting them out. I walked by at 7 in the morning to get bread, and the corner of Brighton 7th and Brighton Beach Avenue. The store's not open. It's I don't know what they sell in there, but there's 50, 60 bags put out against the public garbage can. And yes, I filed a 311 complaint with pictures, etc. And I think that we can't just say, well, we can't do it, we can't afford it. Too bad. We have to do something. And if you can't operate your business because you don't have enough room, maybe you shouldn't be operating your business. Maybe it's not a viable model for doing this. My previous work in computers, I had restaurant for customers in Manhattan. Yeah, all of them had a garbage refrigerator downstairs. And the last...
They do? Okay.
Yeah. And
okay.
Maybe, can I just finish?
Sure.
I'm saying maybe that's what it has to be. And maybe a number of businesses are not viable with this without deciding, hey, I want some extra room. I'm going to add on to my building. Hey, I got to be able to use the street to sell. Hey, like 1055, I got to be able to use the bus stop to sell my merchandise. That's just, we just can't keep doing that and not doing anything really about the problem. I don't know if bags are right, because yes, they contribute, and cleaning out the garbage cans do contribute to efflow into stormwater. I understand that, but there has to be some solution, and we can't do anything. Let's vote down every process. All right, I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Let Elena count the point, please.
Okay. I'm kind of surprised, okay? Really surprised, especially business part. All businesses, they have garbage refrigerator. This is why they put those bags from garbage refrigerator. I have no idea if in small business, you, instead of refrigerator for bags, you can have refrigerator for receptacles. This is number one. Number two, not we have to do something. City has to do something. As I said about 1055, corner of Brighton 7 and Brighton 6 has nothing to do with businesses. Garbage dump between 6 o'clock in the morning and 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. I'm taking pictures every other day. The emotional disturbed person moves garbage from entire block between Brighton Beach Avenue to Neptune Avenue to this corner. Same goes on Brighton 6. I sent a picture of this disturbed person. When a year ago, exactly a year ago, June 22nd, 2022, I sent a picture. So it has nothing to do with businesses, number one. It has to do with city. And I did not plan to say, but instead of fulfilling their duties according to current rules and regulations, enforcing current rules and regulations, they come up with new proposals without enough enforcement agents, without enough budget to have enforcement agents, without cameras, without everything. It's very easy to say that somebody doesn't have to be in business, okay? It's very easy. Or take more space. Who's gonna pay for this space? I mean, yes, I'm advocating for businesses and I'm advocating for residents. So keep calling 311. Maybe they listen to you about corner of Brighton 7 and Brighton 6. It has nothing to do with businesses. It's all residential garbage in the same bags, with the same color string. It has nothing to do with businesses.
Okay,
So-
Elena, let's move on. Let's keep on the topic. Let's move on to Zanera, and then we'll have Madam Chair of CB 13, Lucy talk. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. I agreed with Mark in the first half of like, there needs to be something done, but the second half, I disagreed about businesses not being viable. We need to really support our small businesses, especially after the devastating pandemic. And we have to do that while maintaining a good quality of life for all residents in the surrounding area. I just have two questions. The first, where it says the proposed cost for collection will go up 20 to 30%. Can you clarify that?
Okay.
And then the second question is, do we know how big these receptacles are, what they look like? I tried Googling it real quick and I couldn't find it. And then I just wanted to point out in the part about storage and maintenance, it says that it has to be within 3 feet of the building line of the sidewalk, but it cannot impede or obstruct pedestrian flow on sidewalks. So I just wanted to point that out because we did mention that in the meeting.
Okay, and who's gonna enforce it? Zanera, who's gonna enforce? I'm gonna go, Brighton from Ocean Parkway to Brighton 15 and say, can you be so nice? Can you move your receptacle? That's what I do every day. Size, they are not talking about size. I believe it's a regular, I saw people using regular receptacles, the same one you use for household garbage, because there is no specs for whatever receptacle. So if we are talking about big restaurant or big food store, I believe it's going to be 10, 15, between 5 and 7 receptacles for one establishment. So because if it's a big one, it might be expensive, but big one, I don't know how it's going to be serviced by private carter. Years ago, and Mike Russo remembers it, businesses were using big dumpsters, okay? So in a car, they would have some special equipment, special machine to put this dumpster up and then put it back. So about 15 or 14 years ago, or even more, 16, but no more than 20, city says no more dumpsters, bags, no more dumpsters, bags. Now they're trying to reinvent the wheel. What about cost? I spoke, it's not written in black and white. It's not city saying the cost will go up. This is what I got from 2 private carters servicing Brighton Beach Avenue, Brighton Beach area. And the conversation came up because one of those private carters sent me a survey. He decided to give me heads up even before I get any kind of information from the city. He said, this is what's going on. And I said, So you tell me, is it going to be more expensive? He said, absolutely. And I said, how much? And he said, depends on how many receptacles, between 20 and 30%. And exactly, he's going to become, he or anybody else, it's going to be monopoly. So people won't be able to choose somebody else and somebody cheaper. That's the issue.
Okay, before we get to Lucy, I just have one fast question. This does not have to come before the city council. This is just coming by the
No,
department.
it's a how you call it, in-house rule. I believe it's not coming in front of city councilor, but I would appreciate if Troy gives report to Councilwoman Vernikov about our concerns. She has so many commercial strips in her district, and I believe she should know it.
Okay, thank you. Lucy?
Good evening, and I'm sorry I don't have my camera on, guys. There's a reason. Okay, so Elaine, I have a couple of questions because I haven't been on top of this. The first question that I have, is this the same hearing that is going to be affecting residents that they gave us the 30-day window?
I believe no, it's a separate one.
So this is a business hearing, and the residential one, do you know if let me finish my second part of the question.
Sure.
Do you know if the residential one already happened, or is obviously you just said is not combined with this?
I can check for you, but I did not get any notification.
Okay, the reason I asked is because we're advocating for the businesses, and if it's the same one for residents, I don't comprehend why we're not talking about that. So that's the reason I asked on that. I agree with Mark. I get his point. You know, the leakage, the bags, the ripping of the bags, the weather, but I also get everyone else's point that, you know, the cans will be left outside. So I have a question with that. At what time do they have to bring them in the morning? What is the window?
Bring them in if they have no space.
That wasn't my question. My question was the time.
When they open?
So if they pick up the garbage at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning because of whatever reason, then those receptacles will stay outside all those hours and sometimes fly away or go into traffic, et cetera, et cetera. Is that something that you're saying?
Yes.
If I'm okay. So back to what I was saying, Mark, I agree. But you know, the leakage and the rats and et cetera. But then I only bring this up for reasoning, is because the other day my neighbor decided to place his recycling bin outside instead of a bag. And the bin stayed there all day. And you know, the morning they didn't pick up his recycling, and the guy works. And the business is a little different because they open in the morning, but I'm just making a point here that the gentleman didn't get to bring it in until 6, 7 o'clock that evening. I've also seen those cans fly all over the damn place down the block on windy days, cause car accidents, et cetera. So I get both points. I just want to point that out, that everybody's pointing out certain things, so I get them both ways in my head. So back to do you, and it's kind of a similar, it's a question what Zanera asked, the composting. Do you know anything about when that hearing is happening, or if it's happening, or if it's already happened?
I'm not sure it's happening because all article says all residents of New York City should start composting, blah, 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 with a date. So I will check as soon as we finish this meeting, but it reminds me the flyer we got before new rule for 8 o'clock. Nobody asked. We were just told that starting April 1st. So I did not hear about any hearings about composting for residents. Not
Okay,
a word.
the reason I bring all of this up is because I would like the office to check when they're having their hearings for this, because that's something that should be discussed by this board. For me, I think it's the most stupid thing that they're doing. You know, they give you a little brown can and they tell you to put that brown can out once a week. And then they tell you to put your scraps in your freezer because they don't want to deal with the smell outside. when they tried it as a pilot program before. My neighbor, not the same neighbor, but the neighbor had his can out there. He placed the garbage there and the worms were coming out. It was 3 times disgusting than you could even imagine. So that's just my point. So if we can find out about that, we can chime in on that. I just want to make a point here for all the members that are here, and I guess we can make a point at the full board meeting. If someone hears about a hearing that's being presented and we have significant time to review it, let's not wait to the last minute to come to a committee meeting. Let's have the full board be able to chime in on this. And, you know, I don't like making decisions, and I know it's going to land up on me here because that's what I was told. I don't like making decisions without speaking to the full board. I don't like speaking for the full board without them chiming in. And that was one of the reasons that the borough president's office said that the committees cannot make decisions. But because of the time bracket here, it's going to fall on me onto a decision of writing a letter. So I just want to continue hearing people, and then we'll probably, while we're here, we can discuss what we feel should be in that letter. Thank you.
Lucy, I just want to piggyback on what you said about the composting issue. It has nothing really to do with this issue tonight, but if Eddie, the district manager, will contact Brooklyn Borough Hall, they usually have every month the Brooklyn Swab, the solid waste management people there, and I'm sure he can get the information that you required.
Yeah, we can find out tomorrow.
Right, I've been on several of them, and they go back and forth on different issues.
I only bring it up because, again, I do not like making decisions for the board. I do not like writing letters unless it's an emergency situation. And we had a beautiful 60-day window on this.
Okay, so let's, you know, from what I understand, okay, and correct me if I'm wrong, that a letter needs to be written about this commercial garbage issue and situation, and that I will suggest that the chair send the letter out, and there is no vote that is needed from the board at this point. Lucy?
Zanera?
Zanera has her hand up, Jeff. If you
Yeah.
need assistance, let
I
us know.
just wanted to know if I meant to.
I'm not going to speak until I hear from everyone.
Go ahead, Zanera.
I would want for us to at least agree on what the letter would detail. I think a lot of us come from the same place of wanting a better quality of life and cleanliness, and we have concerns about, you know, impeding the sidewalk, not giving pedestrians room. A lot of the questions I think we all have are in common. I would feel comfortable if a letter is going out on behalf of the board without a vote, without us seeing it, for us to at least determine here at this meeting of the language and tone of that letter.
Well, the letter could be, you know, made in a draft form. We could send it around to the community board.
I disagree on that. I think it needs to be settled this evening, because if you send it around, it goes through emails. One email gets lost, unless you're willing to do the magic thing that, you know, might not be able to be figured out. You can do a Google form and then let everybody, not a form, but you can do the Google document and everybody can edit it, but I'm not going to go there with that. But I think, and this was my point, what I was saying before, that I do not want to make a decision into everyone is heard. And then obviously Zanera, you know, expanded it more on what I was saying. Thank you.
And then the alternative is to get a vote here and then
Ms.
bring it.
Sanoff, there is no vote. We cannot vote at all. It's
Okay, so then it's not going to go before the whole board.
It cannot go before the board because you have the hearings the 22nd.
If I may, I believe Zanera put its exact words. We have concerns. We agree that something should be done to, you know, fight the, you know, to improve the sanitation condition and fight these rat problems. But in the same time, we have concerns about this and this and this and this. And Zanera put it perfectly, I believe.
And also, sorry, also in this
One
letter.
minute, Zanera, 1 minute. The public hearing on this is on June 22nd. Is this going to be before the council?
No.
Where
It's
is
not
it?
before the council. It's a public hearing of Department of Sanitation.
And
They're
is it-
doing because they're making changes. That's their own public hearing.
Okay, is it gonna be virtual or in person?
It's gonna be virtual, and they ask all letters and all comments to be sent before June 22nd.
Well, I suggest that if the letter is gonna be made, that the district manager should be at this meeting and read the letter to the department.
In
Yes.
addition to sending the letter,
Yes, in addition to
in
that.
Yes,
addition
in
to
addition.
sending the letter,
That'll be fine.
in email I sent to district office, they're all links there. I mean, where to send an email, how to register for a meeting, and on and on and on and on. I mean, it can be distributed to everybody. So if people would like to participate, they're very welcome to do so, I believe.
Of course, it's a public hearing.
Yeah.
Right. So Barbara's been taking the notes. She has everybody's concerns. So I think that since there's no vote, you look over the minutes and you come up with the letter and we send it out to the department. Do you agree with that, Lucy?
No, Jeff, I'm gonna go back with what Zanara said. I think we need to discuss at least in bullet points what is going to be in that letter. So for example, one of my concerns was that if they and probably Yelena's as well, you know, at what time will they be required to place back the receptacles in their business, and what kind of fine would they get hit? It's questions, and I don't know if they're going to answer them, but that's one of my concerns is if there's no storage, according to Yelena, that you can't store it. What do? Do you tie it to the door? What is, you know?
Lucy, excuse me. If it's a public hearing, there should be a public comment period on this too. So you could ask the questions in the letter as far as that is concerned.
Right. What I'm
There has
saying
to
is,
be a public comment period.
what I'm saying is that I agree with Zanera, that it shouldn't be just, hey, Yelena said we want A through Z. It should be bullet point here
Well,
tonight.
you can put that into the letter. You have several questions and you could put it into the letter.
Jeff, maybe I'm not speaking clearly. I want to hear as to what this letter is going to consist of, not just Yelena saying, I'll draft the letter on my concerns. I want to hear bullet points before I agree. And I think you have Michael Russo raising his hand.
Go ahead, Michael.
I gotta put my mic on, sorry. This is another thing, as we had in the meeting on Monday night, not everybody was there, but the city is gonna make the rules. They really don't care about what the people want, what the people need. It's just a money grab. They're gonna make them get fines. They're gonna make them get fines. And no matter what we say or what kind of letter we do, the city is gonna make their decision. Years ago, like I was saying before, years ago, I used to have to separate my bottles, my aluminum foil, my cardboard. And then at home, I did my composting. Everything changes every day. It's not going to make a difference what we say, what we do. We can throw it up in the air and see which way the wind blows. But at the end of the day, you got a bunch of people in the city council who really have no clue what it means to run a business. They might be politicians. They might be for the people. I have no problem with that. But they have no clue of what it means to make a payroll and run a business.
But Michael, this isn't going through the city council, though. It's the
But no
department.
matter what we say,
I'm
what we
saying.
do, it's
The
going to end up, someone is going to make a decision, no matter how which way we go down the street.
Right, but
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify, this is not going to go through to the city council. It's the Department of Sanitation, and many of those people don't know how to run, they never ran a business either.
All right. Jeff, you ran a business. You know what I'm talking about. Alan understands too. Garbage is a big part of my business. Garbage is a big part. Keeping it clean, keeping it straight, separating what you need separating. It's a lot of work and there's a lot of labor involved. And now sanitation's gonna come by, oh, you need to do it this way. Let them do it first. Put somebody in there first, let them do it first.
In addition, I don't think there's a one cookie cut for every neighborhood.
Exactly.
Okay, different on 86th Street, different on Brighton Beach Avenue, different in Sheepshead Bay. There's all different types of business locations that have different problems, different issues.
All right, well, you know, I said, they have no clue what it means to run a business. That's what I'm gonna say. Okay? They're gonna make a decision for everybody that affects everybody. And if they understood how to do it, it'd be a different story. You know, you're not talking with smart people there. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. Lolita?
What I was gonna say, I think we just have to write our opinion in any case. Yes, I agree with Michael. They're probably gonna do whatever they wanna do, but we have to still, since we're here discussing it, I think it would be good to give them at least a feedback. And sometimes people who sit in those offices, they don't know what people in the trenches do. So I would say we would have to write a letter of concern stating that, you know, we heard about this new proposal and we have several concerns in regards to that. And we think that this procedural part of it is not carefully thought. And these are what our concerns are. And since we're sitting here, we just, everybody could just give a bullet point of what the concern is. For instance, in our district, on Brighton Avenue, for instance, I'm just making it up. There's the size of the sidewalk is this and that. And if we put the receptacles over there, whatever Yelena said, just describe it to them what kind of nightmare they're going to see. Maybe they will realize and they will change the procedure. And at the end, we just have to say that, you know, if the city have enough budget to enforce the said rule. Can we come up with this kind of letter? Just a letter of concern.
Well, I think, you know, it's possible to do that, but I think since Yelena knows more about this issue than other people.
Okay, Yelena doesn't know more about this issue. Yelena knows more because she gets some information. Okay, and I usually share information. This is why I send it to community board. But I would agree with the letter of concerns, but those concerns should be listed starting from sidewalk, leaving receptacles outside until the morning. You know, the kind of sentence about those receptacles left overnight might be dangerous for traffic and pedestrians. Also, the cost.
Yelena, may I make a suggestion that I'm not putting everything on you. I will help you out as the environmental chair and sanitation chair to help you come up with a letter that has everybody's concerns and wishes and thoughts on this matter. Is that a good?
I'm fine with it because I'm writing my own bid letter, but actually.
Elena, can you continue as to what the bullet points you were saying? Because that's what I really want to hear. That's where I'm landing up at this. I need to hear what the bullet points that you guys are intending to place in this letter with what you heard from others.
Okay. First and foremost, we start the letter. Okay. First and foremost, we start the letter from saying that we are concerned about sanitation condition in the area, right population and quality of life, blah, blah, blah. But it came to our attention that Department of Sanitation has new rules proposed, and we have several concerns about this rule. Number one, most of businesses located within Community Board 13 do not have place to store receptacles, meaning they're gonna be stored outside for 24 hours, which gonna, regardless you want it or not, they're gonna distract pedestrians. Also receptacles after, you know, garbage is being picked up, let's say at midnight, dirty receptacles gonna be left on the street for until 8 o'clock in the morning. So we are talking about extra 8 hours dirty receptacles that will attract rats even more than bags. Okay. Also, we are talking about washing these receptacles. And if business doesn't have any space to store them, meaning they do not have space to wash them. I mean, I can imagine health department coming to any establishment, restaurant or food store with the kitchen and seeing that receptacle is being washed in the kitchen. It's going to be very big fine. So that's kind of concerns, and of course, and I will end with the same statement from the beginning that we are concerned about enforcing current rules which are not being enforced. That's it.
Does
If
anybody,
everything is enforced, we won't have half of the problems. Okay.
Zanera, you have some other points that you want to add to that letter?
Yes, so I have those 3 points. I would like to add kind of our support for small businesses and making sure that anything financial is not falling on them, especially, the times that we're in. I don't think our small businesses need that. So I would like for us to include something of that sort. Yeah.
I love you even more, Janera.
Lucy, what do you want to add to that letter?
You're missing Michael. He's got 3 hands up now. Michael Silverman.
It's funny, I can't see his because it so blends into
It's
the
so
font.
light, yeah.
I apologize, Michael.
You certainly want to talk about the 3-foot rule, okay, being 3 feet from the building line, and in our area, that actually comes out just as far as some of those fruit stands, making it mostly impossible for people with disabilities to navigate the sidewalk on a good day, whether it be wheelchairs or whether it be walkers. You also want to talk about having to wash those receptacles outside, and then where's the water going to go? And the food stuff that's left over, because there's always things left over in that container. Where's that going to go? That's going to go into our sewers, into our catch basins, or just left on the street to rot in the heat. Okay, so those are 3 things that are really important, because again, we're still talking about quality of life.
Yeah. It will be a smorgasbord, Michael, with the rats when the food is left there.
Yeah. Now, we have a small shopping center here, okay? We have an area where they can put their those big garbage containers that the guy comes at 2 o'clock in the morning to, pick up and so on. Now, the businesses won't open till probably 8 o'clock. I need to tell you that in the summer, it's very difficult walking by that area, okay, because of the leftover, the leaking liquids, because those bags rip when they're put into the garbage containers and then dumped into the truck. So you have the leaking liquids as well that just pools. In this case, it's going to pool on the sidewalk. So that's something to add as well.
Right. Nobody's going to water down the sidewalks to clean it off.
Okay, so is there any objections to what people have mentioned? Is there any add-ons from what people have mentioned? Okay, the only thing I like to mention is that, I said it, the danger of the cans being left out all night. We have kids, they kick them, Mark, what is it? I'm ending it here, that's why.
I just think enforcement needs to be a big bullet point on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because otherwise we wouldn't be here.
Okay, absolutely. That is the biggest bullet point. Because that's what Yelena was saying. If you do your job, we wouldn't be here. Exactly. I totally agree. So the reason I said, did anyone have any other questions? Because I'm gonna make the decision of signing. That's why I said, Mark, what is it? The cans, we have children, they kick the cans, they get in the cans, and the lids are flying. It's many dangerous situations, and I've seen it. They made us remove doors off refrigerators when you put them outside because of those reasons. What about cans? I'm sorry, but there's some parents that are just not always around with their children. And those are concerns that I have. Just before I agree or disagree with writing the letter is, again, I want to say, if you have items, bring them in a timely manner. Please, I do not like to take control of writing letters on behalf of the board unless it's absolutely necessary. I also want to commend Elena for bringing this to our attention. And I would like that, if possible, when board members see things like this, bring them to our attention. This is what we're here for, to have a say. Back to Michael Russo, whether they listen to us or not, we're still on record. And trust me, I'm one of these people that I'm going to be screaming on a topic that I am against. And you know that. And it only takes one shouter sometimes. So I agree to have the office write the letter with Yelena and Jeff and send it out as soon as possible. Eddie, please attend the hearing, speak on behalf of the community board, because Yelena can't do both. And
Yes,
I totally appreciate each and every one of you in making sure that we bring topics, we talk about topics, and we can have our voices heard. Thank you.
I just want to say, if anybody hasn't thought of anything and they think of something after the meeting, just email it to Eddie and the staff, and Yelena and I will definitely get it all into a proper letter. Thank you.
Okay.
Any last words?
Yeah, I would like to say, even though I'm not a member of this committee, I would like to thank everybody to being part of discussion. And when we have in-person meeting, I'm gonna bring famous rocket from Brighton.
And I just want to say one other thing. I appreciate everybody respecting everybody's viewpoints and doing it in a civil manner. Thank you very much. So I guess this meeting need a motion to close.
Motion to adjourn unless Lolita has something to say. She has her hand up.
Go ahead, Lolita.
I actually since the Economic Development Committee is with us, I just have a question, if anyone could clarify on that, if you don't mind, unless it's a topic for another discussion. I've read in a paper in regards to the Business Improvement District spearheaded by Alliance of Coney Island. I would like to know what's the boundaries of that district and what effect it will get on those who will be within those boundaries. If it's a biggest point on topic that could not be discussed today, we could discuss it any other time. I was just thinking that is appropriate.
The Alliance is here.
Yeah, the Alliance is
with
here.
us.
Can you?
Eddie,
Yeah, I'm here.
Dan, do you have any comments on that? And let's try to make it brief. If not, we can have a meeting about it.
You know what? I'm sorry, I lost you just as you began speaking.
Let's
What was
try
the,
to make
what
it
was the
brief.
question?
Let's try to make it brief. If not, we can hold
I
another.
don't know what the question is.
Oh, Lolita, go ahead.
Okay, I was reading in the Brooklyn paper in regards to Coney Island Alliance is spearheading the Business Improvement District within our boundaries of our community board district. I would like to know what are the boundaries of that Business Improvement District, and how people living or businesses and residential establishment within those boundaries will be affected by this new proposal, or whatever new status, I would say.
So I'll just start with, happy to discuss this here offline or in a future committee meeting. because you've obviously had a very robust and long discussion tonight about something else. But just quickly, the geography of the proposed bid, as proposed by the steering committee, the bid formation steering committee, would be Surf Avenue from West 8th Street to, I believe it's a West 20th or West 21st. It would be Stillwell Avenue from Surf to Mermaid. It would be Mermaid Avenue from Stillwell Avenue to 33rd Street. So that would be the district. It would compromise. It would comprise Mermaid Avenue and Surf and the amusement area and Surf Avenue.
Hey, this is Alan. As the co-chair of the steering committee for the bid proposal, I would strongly recommend that we hold off on discussing this because there's so many details that go into this, and there's been so
Okay.
much work that's been done.
Totally agree,
over the
Alan.
last
I'm gonna
year.
I
totally
agree
agree on
too.
this.
This is for
And then
another
we're
day.
gonna, guys, let me jump in here. We're gonna, sorry, Lolita, I know you have questions, but you could always go to Dan. He has an open door.
Yes.
He really does. You can knock on his door anytime and he opens that, and he's very open to everything. So if you guys want to connect, please go ahead. If not, meeting
Understood.
is adjourned. Thank you, dear.
Understood. Thank you so much.
So I already set the
Sure.
meeting, I already,
I second the
Meeting
motion to close.
thank you very much. Alan seconded. Everyone have a good night.
Good
Thanks,
night,
guys.
all. Thank you all.
Good night. And everybody have a good Father's Day.
No,
Thanks, Jeff.
You too.
Parade, parade. Don't forget to leave your cars home.
We'll see you all on Saturday.
We pray, yeah,
Bye-bye.
we pray.
We'll see you all on Saturday.
Guys, pray, yeah. Guys.
Good night.